On February 26, 1991, the Gulf War was in the final phase of its ground campaign. The coalition had launched its ground offensive 4 days earlier, and Iraqi forces were already in a general retreat from Kuwait. On the night of February 26th, a single U.S. Army Apache helicopter attacked and neutralized roughly 70 armored vehicles from a column belonging to the Iraqi 12th Armored Division in the region of al-Busayya, southern Iraq. This mission remains the largest number of tanks ever destroyed by a single helicopter in a single combat sortie in military history. By late February, Saddam Hussein had ordered the complete withdrawal of troops from Kuwait. The Iraqi 12th Armored Division, one of the few units still somewhat organized, was ordered to abandon its positions and move north toward the Basra area. Part of this division attempted to flee at night using a route that passed near al-Busayya. The detected column had between 180 and 200 heavy vehicles, including approximately 126 tanks, mostly T-55 and T-62 models from the 1950s and 1960s, some more modern T-72, around 38 BMP-1 and BMP-2 armored vehicles, and dozens of ammunition and fuel trucks. The helicopter was an AH-64A Apache belonging to the 7-17 Cavalry Squadron, known as Pale Horse, from the U.S. Army's 4th Aviation Brigade. At the controls was Chief Warrant Officer 3 Michael Hilkert, 32 years old, with about 1,600 flight hours in the Apache. In the front seat, responsible for weapons, was First Lieutenant Thomas Drew, 28. They lifted off from an advanced forward point called Base Cobra, roughly 80 kilometers from the Iraqi border. The armament loadout was the full standard: 8 AGM-114A Hellfire missiles with a range of up to 8 kilometers and a 9-kilogram tandem warhead, 76 Hydra 70 rockets in 2 19-round pods, each rocket carrying a 4.5-kilogram high-explosive warhead, and 1,200 rounds for the M230 chain gun automatic cannon. The helicopter carried full fuel tanks, providing around 2 hours and 35 minutes of flight time. The official mission was armed reconnaissance in the area between Objective Play and the Basra Pocket, tasked with locating and delaying any retreating enemy forces. There had been no prior planning to engage an entire column alone. At around 11:40 p.m. local time, flying at low altitude, between 10 and 15 meters, and using the terrain for cover, the Apache detected multiple metallic radar returns. Visual identification confirmed a long line of armored vehicles with headlights on, moving northwest at about 30 kilometers per hour. Hilkert decided not to call immediate A-10 or fighter support because the column could disperse in less than 30 minutes. The attack began at approximately 11:50 p.m. The engagement unfolded in 3 distinct phases. First, the 8 Hellfire missiles were launched in 4 passes, directly striking 8 tanks, 7 T-72s, and 1 T-55. This phase lasted about 12 minutes. Next, the 76 Hydra 70 rockets were fired in 4 salvos of 19 rockets each, aimed mainly at concentrations of vehicles and ammunition trucks. Multiple secondary explosions of ammunition and fuel magnified the damage. This phase lasted about 7 minutes. Finally, the 30mm cannon came into action. Between 1,100 and 1,150 rounds were fired in short bursts at tanks, light armored vehicles, and other opportunity targets across several passes at altitudes between 5 and 20 meters. This phase lasted around 15 minutes. The total effective engagement time was approximately 40 minutes within a 2.5-hour flight window. The official result, according to a 1997 U.S. Army report, was 70 tanks destroyed or abandoned and classified as total losses, 31 light armored vehicles, 11 trucks destroyed, and an estimated 400 Iraqi soldiers killed or wounded. The column was halted and fragmented. The remaining vehicles scattered across the desert and were captured or destroyed in the following days. Upon landing at Base Cobra, the ground crew counted 142 small arms impacts on the airframe, mostly 7.62 millimeters and 12.7 millimeters. A 23mm round had passed through the tail boom without exploding. The main rotor showed several minor shrapnel damages. The aircraft was repaired and returned to flight the next day. The estimated cost of the ammunition used was between $1.7 and $1.9 million at the time, amounting to less than $27,000 per neutralized tank. Michael Hilkert and Thomas Drew received the Distinguished Flying Cross. The Apache remained in service until 2004 and is now displayed at the U.S. Army Aviation Museum in Fort Novosel, Alabama, with the bullet holes still visible. Several factors explain the outcome. The Apache had second-generation FLIR night vision, fire-and-forget missiles, and a highly accurate cannon. The Iraqi column lacked any operational modern air defense, no Tunguska or SA-13 systems. The crew was highly experienced, with dozens of combat missions during the war, and employed ultra-low-level flight tactics, using dunes as cover, which made effective fire from small arms or manual anti-aircraft guns nearly impossible. This engagement is still taught today in U.S. Army attack aviation tactical courses as an example of economy of force, a single platform neutralizing a numerically superior force. In just over 2.5 hours of flight, a single helicopter and 2 crew members managed to stop the equivalent of nearly 1/3 of an armored division. No other case in the Gulf War, or in later conflicts, matches the scale of destruction caused by a single attack helicopter in a single mission.